An offer can be revoked at any time before the communication of acceptance is posted, but not afterwards. After the Payne v. Cave 1789, it has now been established that revocation is possible and effective at any time before acceptance, and till that moment no legal obligation exists. In Baroda Oil Cakes Traders v. Prashottam Narayan Das Bagolia, Gajendra Gatkar J. of the Bombay High Court held as under. But so far as the making of the contract is concerned, the proposer is bound as soon as the acceptance is posted and subject to the right to the acceptor to revoke his acceptance. The contract is complete as soon as the acceptance is posted. Now we will discuss why communication of revocation must be from the offerer or his authorized agents. A communication of revocation must be from offerer of his authorized agent. In England, however, a different rule has been laid down. In Dickinson v. Dodds, it has been held that it will suffice if the offeree comes to know that the offer has been withdrawn. In this case, the defendant offered to sell a certain property at a certain price to plaintiff, requiring the plaintiff to accept the offer until Friday 9 am 12th June. A day before the lapse of the said time, the plaintiff came to know through a third person that the property in question had already been sold to some other person. Despite this, the plaintiff before 9 am of 12th June handed over to the defendant a notice of acceptance and sued the defendant for specific performance of the contract. The court held that a sale to third person was an effectual withdrawal of the offer. The plaintiff knew the Dodds was no longer interested to sell the property to him as plainly and clearly as if Dodds has told him in so many words, "I withdraw the offer." It is to my mind quite clear that before there was any attempt at acceptance by the plaintiff, he was perfectly well aware that Dodds had changed his mind and that he had in fact agreed to sell the property to Allen. It is impossible, therefore, to say there was ever that existence of the same mind between the two parties, which is essential in point of law at the making of an agreement. Mellish L.J. also observed, "Just as when a man who has made an offer dies before it is accepted, it is impossible that it can be accepted. So, when the person to whom the offer was made knew that the property has been sold to someone else, it is too late for him to accept the offer, and on that ground I am clearly of the opinion that there was no binding contract for sale of this property by Dodds to Dickinson." But as pointed out by Pollock and Muller, the reason given for the decision in Dickinson v. Dodds have been freely criticized in England, but as the decision itself is not of positive authority in India, in a matter covered by the terms of the Contract Act. Thus, the rule laid down in Dickinson v. Dodds is not applicable in India. It may be noted that Section 6(1) provides, "A proposal is revoked by the communication of notice of revocation by the proposer to other party." In accordance with this provision, it is clear that in India, the notice of revocation must be given by the proposer himself. A notice by a third person will not suffice.